Very emotional after the fact.
Driving down the freeway without a steering wheel on your car. It's more than likely you're going to crash and have a problem. Just a matter of what you're going to run into and how bad it's going to be. It escalates and snowballs, and especially if there's any aggression or physical confrontation involved, it gets out of hand quickly.
Just really overconfident, on top of the world. I could do anything and everything, and I told everybody I was going to do everything. Racing thoughts, couldn't sleep. Just, it's kind of like you're naturally high on drugs. It's kind of what mania is. You're naturally high.
Well, I first off view it as, something that it's generally the first sign of something being a little off. And if you catch it early, I think that's good, because you do have a lot of energy. You can get a lot done. I cleaned up a shop in 25 to 45 minutes in the theater shop, and that should have taken a few people, about a couple hours. I did, bam, like that. There's the thing. You need writing done, you get done fast. But, all that aside, that's really not a net positive, I guess. That'd be the term. It's just not as much positive, because you can really, really, really make yourself do some stupid things when you're highly manic. And I remember when it was really, really bad, before we'd really gotten the medication fixed, before I'd gotten off the antipsychotics, those manic episodes, those are what led to all those nightmarish kind of paranoias. And, it's one of those things that, yeah, you can get a lot done. That's great. And if you can catch yourself doing it, if you can catch when you're there, you can mellow it out, and you can just do what you have to do. And who knows, you might get done a little faster, but it's like the depression. I view it as you've just got to keep it in a range.
If you could, try to give me a general explanation of what it's like to go through a depressive episode.
You don't even want to come out of your room. You don't care about anything. You don't care about anybody. If you let friends down, if you miss a job or some type of appointment, you just don't care.
A lot of times I get to the point where I just get exhausted and sleep for hours on hours. Just feel there's no hope in life to go on.
It's the most horrible thing I've ever gone through. It's like going into a hole that never ends.
Suddenly everything that I have been doing, everything that I'm trying to do is just absolutely worthless. I lose focus on everything. I'll just scream and cry hysterically in a desperation to get help or to get out of the black hole that I'm in. It feels like you're in a tar pit, really, and it's just suffocating you, and you're falling, you can't get out, just you're covered with this sticky, goop, and you just can't get out of it without some sort of help, some sort of resources.
You really just don't feel like living anymore. I mean, I've been suicidal many times. You just don't want to live anymore. Life is over. What's the point of being here? I don't see any light. You don't see any light at the end of the tunnel. Nothing is going to be better. It sucks. It really sucks. I hate it. But I always know that I'm going to get through it. That's why I stick it out. I know that it will pass. You just have to know that it will pass, because it will. You just have to be strong and fight it. But it does suck.
The world would seem like it was coming tumbling around me, tumbling down around me. And it was very, very frightening, totally frightening. I lost control. I would cry hysterically. I'd, crash my head into the pillows on my bed. I'd not be able to move for several hours off the bed. Sometimes I'd go on the floor and just lie face down. It was really very upsetting.
Could you tell me about a pivotal moment involving the disorder? For example, a manic or depressive episode that changed your life.
Well, there was a really bad depressive episode when I was 14, where it was early morning and I was supposed to go to school, and I woke up just in a panic. I don't know why. I went and grabbed a really large knife from the kitchen and went over to my mother and put it to my wrist and said, if you don't get me help right now, I will kill myself right here. And she said okay, and we got in the car, and she took the knife from me and like threw it in the back of the car, and we went to one of the closer mental hospitals, and I was put in inpatient under a 72-hour hold.
By the time I ended up getting in the fight and getting stabbed in my face, I kind of realized that something was wrong and I needed to make some changes in my life, I think.
I was driving a 16,000-pound tow truck with a Suburban on the back of it, and I went into a complete, total psychotic rage. I don't really understand why, but it was frightening to me. Felt like I was fixing to run people off the road. I don't know how it happened. There's nothing in particular that provoked it, and I couldn't turn it off. It cost me my job.
Sometime in mid-2009, I had got so depressed and so just tired of trying different medications and different therapies and having nothing work, and had really just got to the point where I was suicidal all of the time, and I didn't feel like anything was working. None of the meds had worked, and I was in therapy and doing all of these things, and I ended up at a doctor that recommended electric shock therapy. And so for me, that was the turning point of my life, because it's sort of, at the time it was incredible, this decision to do shock treatments. And I read all these autobiographies and memoirs of Kitty Dukakis and Carrie Fisher and these people that said, oh, they had a little bit of memory loss, but it was worth it. And so I thought, well, I can hang with them, so I'll have shock treatments. And so I started shock therapy in the end of September of 2009 and had about 13 treatments in all, I think. And at first it was incredible because it sort of pulled me out of the depression so fast, like nothing had ever done before. You know, I went from not even living my life at all, just going through the motions, to literally being shocked back into life. But then after having a few more weeks of the treatments, as it went on, the memory loss started to come in. And I didn't really realize until I stopped the treatments how much of an impact the memory loss was going to have. And it's changed my life forever. So in a way, the shock therapy was awesome because it pulled me out of that depression that I couldn't find my way out of. But it changed my life in ways that I'm still discovering. It's like the ECT pulled me out of probably the darkest depression of my life. But it created this whole world of problems, of learning how to navigate things as simple as finding my way to the store or the highway, which has become a joke amongst my friends and me. I sort of call people, or, you know, I have Post-it notes with directions written down that I pull out so no one will know that I still can't find my way. The relationship with my daughter at first, I thought, you know, as a mom, there's this mom, no one can break the bond between a mother and a child. You just can't break that bond. But after the shock therapies, she was so unfamiliar to me that I would have moments where I would look and I would say, I can't remember her name. So while I felt emotionally strong enough after being pulled out of this depression by the shock treatments, the strength it requires to learn how to be friends with people that you've been friends with for years, to learn how to drive down the street to get milk, to do these things that I always took for granted. And in all my years of studying yoga and Buddhism and meditation and all of this, I always wanted to have that mindfulness of being in the moment. And I always got on some level that all we have is right here. It's the only thing we can count on, because everything behind us has already slipped through our fingers. And everything in front of us, we can't control it. Doesn't matter how hard you try to make a plan, you can't control it. So all we have is right now, this right here. But now I feel like I should have been careful when I wished for that Buddha mind of being only present and only having this moment, because it's scary to wake up and not have a past, or to know things about your past that seem unfamiliar, and to have people tell you about things that you don't remember, and you can see the hurt in their eyes when you don't remember important things.
Don't be afraid, because the small percentage that do these terrible things that you read about in the paper are such a minute and small amount that are so deeply disturbed. But the majority of the folks with bipolar are struggling daily just to do the right thing. And please, 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 I beg you, don't throw away people that are diagnosed with bipolar. We have so much to give, and some of us make mistakes. I've made mistakes, and I'll continue to make mistakes. But most of us are trying desperately to do the right thing. We really are. And when you look at us like we're not right, that just puts us further back.
It is a very difficult and misunderstood disorder that is way more than just being up and down. It's way more than just crying 1 second and lashing out another. It's so much more than that.
If you know someone who's bipolar, I would say don't try to think much. You just know, oh, they have bipolar. My son has bipolar. What am I going to do? My son just got diagnosed bipolar. Or my daughter just got that. I just met a man and he's got bipolar. How am I going to handle this? Or vice versa. It's very simple. Just accept them for who they are.
I think bipolar is like being in a boat on an ocean by yourself. There's other people, but they're all on their own boats doing their own thing. But you're in this boat on this ocean, and in one hand you hold the chain to an anchor, and in the other hand you hold the strings to a kite. And the kite is the mania, and the anchor is the depression. And your job is to keep the kite from flying you away and keep the anchor from bringing you all the way down to the bottom of the ocean. And so being bipolar is this fine balancing act of keeping yourself afloat in the boat. With the kite string here, I've got my reminder. The kite string there, and the anchor is here. And you've got to hold them really strong and really tight